Bring out the pumpkin spice lattes because it's officially October and it's raining out. Don't you just love the sound of the rain? Okay, maybe we can like skip this pumpkin spice lattes because I am not a big fan of them. Anyway, as promised, today I am going to go through my October TBR. By the way, this video is going to go out earlier than my usual Thursday upload because I wanted my October TBR video to come out as early as possible. So the books on this list will be from the horror and thriller genre, just to keep up with the theme of this month. I really was looking for a good like witchy book, but I couldn't find any in our local bookstores, or so I'll just settle with the ones that I have prepared. By the way, if you want to skip all the way to the TBR, I'll leave a timestamp on the description below because I'm gonna do like a mini review for the Dressmaker of Paris. I'm super and like pleasantly surprised, and I mean that in the best way possible, that I really did end up liking this book. Dressmaker of Paris is actually a work of historical fiction. It follows a woman named Rosa, and she finds herself at the very beginning of the story pregnant as World War II comes to a close. Her pregnancy was not planned, and in fact was a result of like this horrible SA that happened to her. So there are really a lot of beautiful locations explored in this book. For example, Rosa, she grew up in the Italian Alps, and then she decided to escape because she got pregnant, and then she had to like escape all the way to Switzerland. And after a few rough decisions, Rosa, she eventually decides to leave her son in Switzerland for Paris, and I feel like that's where the story really shines. Having said that, I really do think that's why the book really appealed to me in the first place. I mean, I really do love fashion, even though I can't afford luxury fashion. Despite not being able to afford it, I just love the thought of women or even men or whatever you identify with wearing beautiful clothes and feeling confident over it. So to see a special appearance by Christian Dior himself in the height of his growing fame was just a delight. I love that Kaufmann touched on the iconic bar suit and Dior's rivalry with Chanel, and of course Yves Saint Laurent. I'm not so sure if I'm saying it right, but there are like these special appearances of the trailblazers of fashion. And it's not just fashion in the sense that we're talking about clothes that's being explored in this book. The book does delve into other aspects of fashion, if I should call it that. I mean, there's a lot of mention here about Chanel No. 5 and Miss Dior bottles, and I love that Rosa actually mentions that women, their dressers actually transition from being filled with all this designer perfume to aspirin bottles. That is very relatable. And I think I'm in the middle of that actually, because my own dresser is actually filled with a lot of perfume and then also medicine. So the rain just stopped, and I think that's a sign to get back to Rosa's story. While I would have liked it if the book actually just stuck to fashion and dressmaking in Paris, I do feel like the book does go to a very different tone as it goes on. It does feel like it does lose its shine and its theme a bit because a lot goes on in Rosa's life, and I mean a lot. If I could compare this to another work of historical fiction that I really did like, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I mean, we still see Evelyn as an actress throughout the story. Rosa, she sort of loses her identity as a dressmaker, and that's like not the focus of the book as it goes on, and it starts like shifting towards Rosa's relationships. I mean, Evelyn Hugo does that too, but then you never lose a sense of who Evelyn was. While The Dressmaker of Paris was very also like well written, it was a lot of the relationships were a bit unbelievable and kind of muddled up the plot a bit. But I think this book is an absolute gem despite all that, and it is totally worth your time, and I would definitely recommend it to anybody who is really into women's literature or historical fiction and fashion, of course. So yes, this is a solid 4 out of 5 stars for me on Goodreads. Now let's get to the main event, my October TBR list. So the first book on my list is actually a thriller, and that is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. To be honest, I surprisingly did not know who Riley Sager was. I did come across this book after it was suggested on Goodreads. And if, like me, you didn't know at first, Riley Sager is actually a pseudonym for Todd Ritter. And Todd Ritter is this well-known mystery writer, thriller or mystery writer. And there is this totally big controversy, which is really up for discussion, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. That he is actually using a female name to appeal to a female audience. I mean, it's no secret that in the book industry, female written or women-led thrillers, they actually do well in the market. Look at Gillian Flynn, Carolyn Kepnes, Agatha Christie, Lisa Jewell. So many iconic thrillers are actually written by women. So you guys feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll admit I really do need to do more research on this, but it is widely believed that Todd Ritter is using a feminine name or a feminine author's name to appeal to this market. So I'm not so sure what I really feel about it because I didn't think that that was a thing before. I will admit again that I'm not that knowledgeable of the whole publishing and book industry. I just read books. And if Agatha Christie can create a very iconic male detective without the need to pose as a male, I don't see why Riley Sager can't do the same thing. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, as I said, because I don't know if this is harmful. I just think it's a little bit weird that an author would resolve to doing this. So speaking about the book, I did actually pick up 2 books by Riley Sager. The book that I will be reading this month, again, is The House Across the Lake. It is a thriller, and I found the premise to be a little bit generic, to be honest, but I did pick it up anyway because after I read the Stacey Willingham book, I placed this one on my to be read list, and then I found a copy, and the rest was history. So basically this book has a very similar plot to The Girl on the Train. There is this unreliable narrator, and she keeps spying on a couple, but this time, unlike The Girl on the Train, she doesn't really have a deep connection with the couple that she's spying on. And yes, I have read a few chapters of the book. Actually, I like the writing, but I do find the story again to be very generic. I'm not finished yet. I'm in the first very few chapters, but I can already guess what the twist is. But anyway, I'll just come back with you guys if I got it correct with another review that I just might film next week. So the next book on my list is The Twisted Ones by T. Kingfisher. I love a good horror, and I'm really excited for this one. I actually only got a digital copy because I can't find an authentic hardbound or paperback copy on our local bookstores. The ones in shopping sites are mostly reprints, so I don't want to risk buying that. So what's really exciting me about this book is that it's being marketed as having Blair Witch vibes, and as a fan of that movie, that's really enough to draw me in. I'm 100% sold, and I'm so excited to start spooky season. Another book on my TBR list is a book that I'm super excited about, even more excited about than The Twisted Ones, and that is The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. Catriona Ward, I finally have you within arm's reach. I've always been looking for a book from her for the longest time. Now, originally, I really wanted to read Looking Glass Sound, and it has been on my TBR list since forever. I actually heard about Catriona Ward from Joe Hill and Stephen King, so the books that they recommend, I always check out. But unfortunately, they didn't carry a copy of Looking Glass Sound, and I really wanted a physical copy of that book, and shipping from Amazon was super expensive, so I decided to look for a secondhand copy for The House on Needless Street first. The next 3 books that I'm going to mention are iconic. She's an icon, she's a legend, she is the moment. The Haunting on Hill House is such an icon, and I keep saying that word. Would you believe that I never read the book and watched the series first? So I'm totally making up for that by adding this book to the list. The House Across the Lake, The Last House of Needless Street, The Haunting on Hill House We're exploring a lot of houses this month, guys. So the next book on this list is actually replacing Bram Stoker's Dracula. I couldn't find like a physical copy of that book, so I had to go with Rosemary's Baby instead. Now let's talk about the last book on this list. I did add it to my TBR list and I really want to read it this month, and that's The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty. So The Exorcist is the Linda Evangelista of horror novels, and I really want to read that book. I did see the very old movie, but I always wanted to read the book, and I will be borrowing a copy, so hopefully I'll have some time this month to actually read that book. Full disclosure, I am a scaredy cat. I am afraid of everything, including that chicken outside. I'm also afraid of butterflies, and I know that I will be scared shitless while reading all these books. But hey, I love spooky season, I love Halloween, so that's my TBR list. So whether you're a booktuber or a casual reader yourself, please let me know what's on your October TBR list this month. And as always, thanks for watching, thanks for making it this far in the video, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you guys, bye!